everyone, it is Raya here. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today as I go through my Life Books lineup review with you. And yes, you did hear me right. I did say Life Books, and you might be wondering what it might be. And to put it simply, a life book is a term that I like to use to refer to these notebooks, planners, and journals that I use to design and document my life. And you might say, why don't you just call it a planner or a journal? Well, my answer to that is that sometimes I use planners, but not for planning. And also other times I use notebooks, but they've got a specific purpose and a specific reason that I'm using them for. And so when I refer to them as a whole, I do often struggle with not knowing if it's appropriate to call them planners. For example, in like planner stacks or planner lineups, especially since I only really have one planner and the rest are journals and notebooks. So for example, this Hobonichi Techo is a planner. However, I don't use it as a planner. My planner is this Hobonichi Weeks notebook supplement here. So I don't know what else to call this aside from a life book. And I actually stumbled upon the term life book through the Hobonichi website one day when they described what a Hobonichi Techo was. And word for word, this is how they described it. I'll just read it to you. The Hobonichi Techo is a life book. It's a planner notebook you can use as freely as you like, and it will adapt to the lifestyles of anyone using it. And I think, that's so perfect. I think many people in this community can say that they too use a life book. And even if it's not the Hobonichi Techo, there are many other planners and journals out there which have been repurposed to fit their users' needs. And so yeah, I thought this was a perfect word to describe my planners and journals and notebooks, because I have repurposed these to adapt to my lifestyle and to my needs. And so now when you hear me say life book, I am simply referring to these planners and journals, but using a more flexible and broader term, I guess. Okay, so on to the review. First, I'd like to say though that I personally like to do monthly lineup reviews because it allows me to check in and see what's working and what isn't, and as well as share with you guys the thought and process behind setting up this month's life books. And maybe it's just me, but my life books are essential to my life and journey as a person. And so I also want to make sure that my life books are serving me and my needs at this current stage of my life. And that to me is planner peas. I am, and I'm sure you are as well, you are a changing person every day. You're evolving, and your needs and your wants do change as well. And so I want to make sure that my companions for life are aligned with that and keeping up with my change. And yeah, so as I said, that to me is planner peace, making sure that this me and them are working together in sync. Now I'll actually move on to the actual review, and I'll start with the changes I made in April, because I did make a few. So I moved my planning from the standard TN into the Hobonichi Week supplement notebook. So this is a supplement notebook which I had planned to originally store my collections in because I was running out of room in my notes pages. However, I was really desperate to start planning in the week's size ASAP because the standard TN no longer sparked any joy in me when I used it. The leather was dry and firm, and I only used one insert, and there was nothing else that really stopped me from removing it from my lineup. I also wasn't a big fan of the fact that the form factor was quite large compared to the weeks, and that I had to keep switching between my weeks and the standard TN all the time because the standard TN was my planner and everything else was in my week. So it was a bit weird switching back and forth of such different sizes. And I think I figured that I'm a one book type of girl. I did really like the way that my spreads looked in my standard TN though, but I'm glad I did make the switch because I found that even if the Hobonichi Weeks was smaller in size, the smaller grid actually allowed me to fit even more content than the standard TN did. And so now I only have one setup to do my planning and my tracking, and I just love that. Another change that I made was that I stopped time blocking in paper form, and I am now time blocking using the calendar app on my phone. And by moving onto a calendar app, I now get reminders 10 to 30 minutes before a new event or before a task is about to start soon. And I just really like that. It allows me to prepare and actually stay on top of the plan, and I love it. I love time blocking. I also changed how often I would update my daily highlights and my lowlights in the monthly spread of my Hobonichi, a 5-day free photo journal, as well as my 5-year journal. And I did so because I didn't find any joy pulling these notebooks out every night, only to be in them for like 15 to 20 seconds each. I actually want to spend time in them and like have a purpose for filling them out, you know what I mean? So I felt like I could have done a lot better with it. So what I tried to do was filling out the boxes at the end of each week now, instead of every night. And I found this to be a lot better, because now I get to have the opportunity to look back and reflect on what has stood out to me every day at the end of the week. And I use my memory keeping entries in my Hobonichi weeks as a reference point to sort of jog my memory of what has happened in each day. And I found that that's a lot more efficient way of doing it all at once at the end of the week rather than at the end of every night. And so I'll continue to do it this way for the rest of the month, or until I change it up again. Who knows? But yeah, I also do the same with my 5-year journal. I like to do it at the end of the week together with my highlights and lowlights. So that's been really good life books to visit on the weekend, which is fun. And so I've talked about what I changed mid of April. Now I want to talk about what worked well in the April life books. So first, of course, I have to start off with saying morning pages. I love doing my morning pages. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm kind of obsessing over it at the moment, but that's just because it's just benefited me so well, and I've only been in this practice for like a month and a half. It's so amazing. It just clears the mind. It helps me stay focused throughout the day, and it's just a great starting point of each day. And by that I mean, like, when I wake up, sometimes there's nothing on my mind, and sometimes there's like a million gajillion things that's running on my mind. This acts as like a clean slate. So once I finish writing, I feel like my mind is clear and I can just tackle the rest of the day without any chatter in my mind. I have a lot of chatter in my mind, so this has been a really good friend to me. So thank you, morning pages. And another thing that has worked really well in my lineup has been my Hobonichi Weeks weekly spread. I was really consistent with my memory keeping and accountability logging in my weekly spreads. And just to quickly explain, I call this accountability logging because it's where I go to check in if I've done my challenge for the day. And April's challenge was 30 days of movement by doing the treadmill. So yeah, instead of checking a box and ticking that off and say, yes, I've done that for the day, what I like to do is I actually like to write about my experience of that day, because I feel more accomplished doing it that way. Like, I feel like the act of writing matches the act of running on the treadmill. I don't know what it is, but it feels more equal to me, rather than just running a lot and then I come here and then I just like, yep, check, that's done. I wonder if you guys know what I mean. But yeah, there's that. And plus I get to record the data of how I've actually done for that specific activity, which allows me to track my progress in the long run and see how much I've progressed. And so that was really, really good. And another thing that has worked really well in my April life books have been adding the gratitude and wins spread. So I love this practice of having a grateful heart, and I also found that by celebrating my wins, both big and small, it's really helped me with trying not to be so hard on myself on some days, because I can be my own worst critic many days. So I'm really glad that I incorporated that, even though I added that on midway through April. I'm definitely going to be adding that onto May. And another thing that's worked really well have been the vertical layout spreads for planning. And this is still a winner for me. My brain just really likes vertical planning. I don't know what it is, but it just does. And I won't complain. At least I'm thankful that I found out that it likes that. So even if I drop time blocking, I still really enjoy timekeeping, or time tracking, or tracking my time, and rapid logging in this format. It's so simple to use and so easy and quick to set up. I think I'll be doing a video about how I incorporate the bullet journal method into my planning soon. So if that's something you'd be interested in, then keep an eye out for it. And now that we've talked about what worked well, I do want to talk about what didn't work well. So the first thing that didn't really work quite well are the weekly inboxes. So I like having the weekly inbox every week, but I don't know if it was actually useful or not. I don't think they were. I found myself just migrating and rewriting them every week, and sometimes I'd forget about them altogether. And so for May, I'm going to try to do a monthly inbox or a monthly log and see if that works out better. And I'll be using the Alistair method with that. Another thing that didn't work quite well was that I didn't like doing my health logs like this. There were many days where I experienced many symptoms, but they were triggered by the same thing. And yet in each column, I had to write down what had triggered it. And so it was just repetitive and unhelpful. Another thing that surprised me that didn't work well was the monthly spread. I was really hoping that this could work out the way that I wanted to, but it just didn't. It became too cluttered because I began to track so many things. And because it became so cluttered, it was actually really difficult for me to see when I did last do a specific thing, which was my intention for this calendar anyway. So I'm really bummed that it didn't work out. And another thing that I found surprising that didn't work well was tracking habits on the daily like this, but on the monthly view. I already knew beforehand that I kind of don't work well with monthly habit trackers, but I still did it anyway. But yeah, no, it worked fine. It was just unhelpful during my end of the month reflections. Like, I couldn't answer really how well I did do in creating new habits when I didn't really know how to measure that. Unless, of course, I counted the dots, but I wasn't really keen on doing that either. With all that said, what have I actually done to change these things that didn't work in April to make them work in May? So now I'll be talking about my May setup, and I'll begin with a monthly spread. So I was thinking about how I could possibly make this when did I last tracker more effective and functional, and I came up with this. Number 1, I created a list of things I want to know when I did last of. This way, I'm not randomly putting in random notes in here like I did last month. And it means that I'll also know what I'll need to keep an eye out for. Number 2, I separated my goals tracker from this housekeeping and personal tracker. And that's what you see here. Separating these two have allowed for more white space. And with more white space, the monthly overview will be a lot easier to read, and I will be able to find exactly what I'm looking for. And now in May, I'll be tracking my habits on a weekly basis and recording the totals of each week into the monthly spread. So for example, if I completed 6 sessions of exercise and 2 sessions of Bible study in that week, I'll transfer that data into numbers in the monthly spread. So hopefully by the end of the month, it'll be a lot easier to evaluate. And also, side note, I have Lee Journals to thank for this idea of the habit tracker layout. You guys should definitely check out her Instagram if you're interested. And another thing that I'm going to change in May is the way that I'm doing my accountability logs. So I do them in this way now so that it's easier to compare results from each session compared to how I used to do them. So now here you can see on the table specific data, and here on this other table specific data compared to like this clump of data in previous weeks, which were not bad, but I'm more interested now in tracking my data, more so just writing them down. And as for my health logs, I'll now be tracking my symptoms in this left page and then logging in my entry on the right page. In this way, it's a lot easier for me to see the patterns, and also so that I only need to make one entry to describe what had triggered those symptoms and or what were the outcome of me experiencing those symptoms. It'll also be a lot easier to see trends in this way too. I think those are some of the more major changes that will occur in my lineup for May. And to summarize it all together, here's what my life books lineup will look like for May. Morning journal will be the same. Photo journal, now updated every week, as well as my 5-year journal. Oh, and something that I have yet mentioned, I've also got my faith journal, something that I added in the end of April, which was heavily inspired by Monique Smith on YouTube, and she is a Risen You on Instagram. So yes, morning pages, photo journal, 5-year journal, faith journal, my Hobo Weeks Health and Wellness journal, as well as planner. And I think I'll just do a quick flip through of it to end the video, just to summarize. So goal tracking and other type tracking, and then for weeks is my accountability log, habit tracker, memory keep, and then my sleep and fasting details. And then I forgot about my finance tracker, but yes, I also have a finance tracker here, right here for May. And then I've got my bullet journal, and here I've got my health log, my gratitude and wins, my goals and intentions, my monthly index, and my when did I last calendar, and my planner. So that's it. Before I end this video, I do want to share with you guys my MVP stationery accessory of the month of April. So first is my Delphonics utility vertical pouch. So this thing has helped me bring all my stationery and life book essentials whenever I go to travel to mom's place. I'm thinking of making a video of this soon as well, so if you guys have any specific questions about it, do let me know in the comments below so I can address them in the next video. And I have another MVP actually. MVP is supposed to be only one thing, but I'm really excited about this one. So I feel like this might be May's MVP, but I'll share it now anyway because I'm so smitten. This is the Travelers Company sticker release paper insert, and look how much more compact it is compared to my sticker collection booklet I've got going on here. So what I've done is that I've taken a row and column of each of the sticker sheet I own and transferred it here. And if I ran out here, I'll just refill it with some more when I need to. But yeah, I just love it because it's so much more travel friendly. And guys, come on, it's just adorable. I also have the regular sized one just in case I wanted to cut it out, but for now this is sufficient. But yeah, that's it for now. I hope that all made sense. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I truly love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you a lot, and thanks for giving me some of your time. And until we catch up with each other again in the next video, may you all stay healthy and happy. Bye!